Leah the Giraffe, World Explorer, an incredible adventure across Asia. Once upon a time, there was an adorable giraffe named Leah who lived in a large forest. Naturally curious, Leah loved going on adventures to discover new horizons. One day, while she was walking peacefully, she encountered a little owl named Oscar. The two friends decided to set off together to explore distant lands. Their first destination was Asia, a mysterious and fascinating continent. They began their journey in China, a country filled with ancient traditions. Leah and Oscar were amazed by the Great Wall, a magnificent construction that stretched as far as the eye could see. They then traveled to Japan, where they visited splendid temples and admired the cherry blossoms. Thailand was their next stop, where they discovered the magnificent temples of Bangkok and indulged in spicy dishes with exotic flavors. Then, Leah and Oscar traveled to India, the country of 1,000 colors. They attended a holy festival where they were sprinkled with colorful powder and danced to the sounds of traditional music. The journey continued in Vietnam, where they were dazzled by the terraced rice fields and captivated by the beauty of Ha Long Bay. Then, Leah and Oscar traveled to Malaysia, where they were amazed by the diversity of cultures and the richness of nature. They had the chance to observe orangutans in the rainforest. The next destination was Cambodia, where they were fascinated by the majestic temples of Angkor Wat. They continued their journey in Burma, where they discovered splendid golden pagodas as far as the eye could see. The two friends then went to Nepal, where they climbed Mount Everest, the highest mountain in the world. Then, Leah and Oscar visited Sri Lanka, a paradise island filled with temples and white sandy beaches. Afterwards, they discovered Indonesia, where they explored numerous volcanoes and witnessed enchanting traditional dances. They then traveled to South Korea, where they discovered the modernity of Seoul and the beauty of ancient palaces. Their last destination of their Asian adventure was Saudi Arabia, where they were fascinated by the desert landscapes and impressive sand dunes. They encountered camels and participated in a traditional festival. After traveling through the countries of Asia, Leah and Oscar were filled with incredible memories. They returned to their forest, happy to share their adventures with the other animals. Leah understood that the world was vast and magnificent, and that cultural differences made the richness of our planet. And so, Leah the giraffe continued her adventures, always ready to discover new horizons and meet new people. The polar bear that dreamed in colors and saved the Arctic. Once upon a time, in a distant kingdom of ice, there was a polar bear cub named Neige. He was different from the other polar bear cubs because he dreamed in colors. While all his fellow Arctic companions saw only white and blue, Neige saw dazzling and vibrant landscapes. But one day, he noticed that the Arctic was losing its magic. The icebergs were less majestic, the fish were becoming scarce, and even the northern lights seemed less bright. Neige was determined to set off on an adventure to discover why this was happening. He prepared a small bag with provisions and set off. He crossed frozen plains and snowy forests. The icy wind bit at his fur, but he bravely continued on his way. He soon arrived at a large glacier where he met Oki, a curious seal. Neige asked him if he knew why the Arctic was losing its magic. Oki then spoke to him about the climate changes caused by human activities. Snow was upset by this revelation. He understood that all humans had to take care of the Arctic to preserve its magic. He then decided to continue his journey to raise awareness among people about the situation. He later met a group of penguins who showed him the direction to a neighboring village. Snow soon arrived in the village, where he was welcomed by children who were fascinated by his fur. He told them his story and spoke to them about the importance of preserving the Arctic. The children were moved by his words and decided to help him. They organized a fundraiser to support Arctic preservation projects. Thanks to their determination, they raised enough money to finance climate research programs. Snow continued his adventure and discovered wonders of nature every day. He sneaked through the ice mountains, played with polar foxes, and danced with seals. The Arctic animals were so grateful for his efforts that they offered him precious artifacts, symbols of their love for their land. One day, while exploring an ice cave, Neige heard a strange sound. He approached slowly and discovered a young polar bear trapped in a crevasse. His name was Nuka, and he was the last of his family to live in this region of the Arctic. Neige started working to free him, using all the skills he had acquired during his journey. Finally free, Nuka thanked Neige and told him the story of his people. Long ago, polar bears lived in harmony with their environment. But over the years, the Arctic had lost its magic due to human negligence. Nuka told Neige that he was filled with gratitude for everything he had done and that he couldn't think of a better guardian of the magic of the Arctic. Over time, Neige and Nuka helped raise further awareness among people about the protection of the Arctic. Together, they inspired so many individuals around the world with their incredible story. Finally, the Arctic began to regenerate. The ice became strong again. The animals regained their abundance, and magic once again invaded the frozen land. All thanks to the determination of Neige, the polar bear who dreamed in colors and decided to protect his home, the Arctic, with all his heart.
Cheap and Felix on a conquest of Paris in search of treasure and the happiness of friendship. Once upon a time, in a charming green meadow, there was a little sheep named Marcel. Marcel was just like any other sheep, but he dreamed of adventure and discovering new unknown lands. One fine day, Marcel decided that it was time for him to leave the meadow and embark on a quest to find his destiny. He knew he had to make his way to Paris, the city of lights. Marcel gathered up his courage and set off toward the French capital. He crossed vast expanses of blooming fields, passed by glistening streams, and even climbed a steep mountain. Nothing could stop Marcel in his pursuit. After a long walk, Marcel finally arrived in Paris. He was dazzled by the magnificent monuments that stretched before him. He then decided to stroll through the city to discover all the secrets it held. Throughout his wanderings, Marcel came across a cheerful band of pigeons who invited him to join them. Together, they visited the Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame Cathedral, and the Louvre Museum. Marcel felt increasingly amazed with each step he took in this city, so rich in history and culture. One day, while they were walking near the famous district of Le Marais, Marcel heard a cry for help coming from a dark alley. Without hesitation, he approached and discovered a black kitten trapped in a tree. Marcel, with his great strength, managed to free it, and the grateful kitten told him that its name was Felix. Felix told Marcel that he had been lost for several days after escaping from his adoptive family. He had no idea how to get back home, so the two friends decided to support each other in this quest. Marcel and Felix saw many wonders in Paris. They visited the Tuileries Garden, took a boat tour on the Seine, and strolled hand in paw on the Champs-Élysées. Marcel was happy to have found such a friendly travel companion. One day, as they were walking near the famous Notre Dame Cathedral, a pigeon flew over Marcel and Felix and enthusiastically announced to them that it had heard about a mysterious treasure hidden at the top of the Eiffel Tower. The two friends looked at each other and, without hesitation, decided to embark on the quest to find it. They slowly climbed the Eiffel Tower, bravely ascending the steps. After a long while, they finally reached the top and discovered the much sought-after treasure. It was composed of precious gemstones, gold coins, and sparkling jewels. Marcel and Felix were amazed by this incredible find. But instead of keeping the treasure for themselves, Marcel and Felix decided it was better to share it with the people of Paris. They organized a big celebration in the meadow where Marcel had grown up. All the animals from the region, as well as the pigeons and cats of Paris, came to celebrate this new friendship. Marcel felt so fulfilled and happy. Finally, Marcel had found what he had always been searching for in this incredible adventure in Paris: friendship and the joy of sharing. From now on, he was sure that no matter where he was, he had found his true place in this world. And so, Marcel the sheep, accompanied by his loyal friend Felix, continued to live extraordinary adventures throughout his life.
The Adventures of Kiku and Poppy, The Mystery of the Withered Bamboos. Once upon a time in the faraway forest of Koalaville, there lived an adorable little koala named Kiku. Kiku was known for his zest for life and his love for bamboo. Every day, he would wander around in search of the best bamboo leaves to feast on. But this time, something strange was happening in the forest. Kiku noticed that the bamboos had turned grey and sad. They had lost their brightness and appeared sadly withered. Worried, Kiku decided to investigate. He began questioning the other animals in the forest, but no one seemed to have any idea what was happening. That's when he met Poppy, a mischievous squirrel known for his many adventures. Poppy explained to Kiku that a spell had been cast on the bamboo by a witch named Amandine. She was jealous of their beauty and had decided to deprive them of their vitality. Determined to save his beloved bamboos, Kiku embarked on a quest to find the witch. With the help of Poppy, they journeyed through the forest, overcoming obstacles and solving riddles to uncover Amandine's hiding place. After days of adventure, they finally found the home of the witch. It was an old, dark and frightening house at the edge of a forest. Kiku and Poppy stealthily infiltrated it and discovered that the witch was keeping Jalapeno, the forest spirit, captive in a cage. Kiku understood that the key to saving the bamboo and Jalapeno lay within Amandine's magical labyrinth. The labyrinth was filled with complex riddles and cunning traps, but Kiku and Poppy were determined to succeed in their mission. With their perseverance and intelligence, they managed to navigate through the maze and free Jalapeno. The spirit of the forest then granted them a precious gift, a vial of stardust that had the power to restore life and beauty to the bamboos. Kiku and Poppy returned to the Koalaville forest and spread stardust over the bamboos. Gradually, the leaves turned green again and shimmered, and the trees regained their strength. The forest regained its brightness and magic, thanks to the friendship of Kiku and Poppy. Since that day, Kiku has become the guardian of the bamboo, ensuring that they always remain healthy. As for Poppy, he has become a respected hero for his bravery and cleverness. Together, they continue to explore the forest and experience new adventures, spreading happiness and joy wherever they go. And this is how Kiku the koala saved the bamboo in the forest of Koalaville, thanks to his friendship with Poppy and the precious help of Jalapeno. A wonderful story that teaches us the importance of friendship, courage, and perseverance, even in the face of the most difficult situations.
Bingo and the 7 Wonders of the World. An extraordinary journey. Once upon a time, in a small village, there was an adorable cocker spaniel named Bingo. Bingo was an intelligent and curious dog who loved going on adventures. One day, he heard about the 7 Wonders of the World, incredible places that he dreamed of visiting. Bingo prepared for this great journey, gathered his belongings, and set off on the roads, full of excitement. His first destination was the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. He was amazed by the grandeur of the pyramid and the stories told by the tour guides. Bingo's second stop was the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. He was fascinated by the beauty of the gardens, where plants were suspended in the air. He spent hours running between trees and flowers, enjoying this heavenly atmosphere. Bingo continued his journey to ancient Greece, where he discovered the splendid temple of Artemis in Ephesus. He admired the majestic columns of the temple, walking around and imagining the lives of the ancient Greeks. The fourth wonder that Bingo visited was the statue of the Colossus of Rhodes. He gazed at this immense bronze statue that stood above the harbour. Bingo wondered how such a work of art could have been created. Then, Bingo travelled to India to see the Taj Mahal, the fifth wonder of the world. When he caught sight of this magnificent white palace illuminated by the sun, he was moved by its beauty and splendour. After crossing the Asian continent, Bingo went to South America to explore the lost city of the Incas, Machu Picchu. He climbed the steep hills and discovered the ancient ruins, fascinated by the ingenuity of this civilization. The last wonder that Bingo visited was Chichen Itza in Mexico. There, he was dazzled by the immensity of the Pyramid of El Castillo and the light shows that occurred during the equinoxes. After visiting all 7 wonders of the world, Bingo decided to go back home. He knew that his journey had been extraordinary and that he had experienced incredible adventures. But he was also happy to return to his house and his friends who were eagerly waiting for him. Back in his village, Bingo shared his stories with the other dogs and the children. He explained to them how each wonder of the world was unique in its own way and how important it was to preserve our world heritage. Bingo now had a special place in the hearts of all the villagers. They admired him for his bravery and adventurous spirit. And Bingo, happy to be able to share his stories, knew that he had lived a waking dream, visiting the 7 wonders of the world and leaving an indelible mark in the minds of all those he had met.
Toby the Tiger in search of the lost city of the Incas. Once upon a time, in a vast forest, there was a tiger named Toby. Toby was different from the other tigers in his region. He was not just an ordinary tiger. He dreamed of adventures and discoveries, and his greatest desire was to find the legendary lost city of the Incas, whose stories had been passed down from generation to generation. Toby knew that finding this city would be a difficult task, but he was determined. He was convinced that the ancient ruins were hidden somewhere, deep in the heart of the forest. Armed with courage and perseverance, he set off, hoping to uncover the mysteries of the Inca city. On the first day, Toby made his way through the bushes and dense trees. He heard the melodious songs of the birds and encountered exotic animals of all kinds. However, the Inca city remained unfound. Weeks and months went by, and Toby faced numerous challenges. He climbed steep mountains, crossed tumultuous rivers, and faced wild beasts. But nothing discouraged him, because he knew that each step brought him closer to his goal. One day, when he had almost lost hope, Toby stumbled upon an old map in the middle of a clearing. The map showed a winding path, filled with traps, that led to the Inca city. It was a sign from destiny, and Toby knew he was on the right path. Following the directions on the map, Toby crossed slippery swamps and dark caves. He narrowly avoided a rock slide and journeyed through an enchanted forest full of mystical creatures. Finally, after many days of adventure, he arrived in front of the imposing walls of the Inca city. The city was magnificent, with its stone temples and incredible sculptures. Toby felt amazed by everything he saw. He strolled through the deserted streets and discovered hidden treasures among the ruins. It was a magical experience that would remain etched in Toby's heart forever. While exploring the ancient city, Toby encountered an old wise man who had been living there for many years. The wise man told him the story of the Inca city and its people, and imparted precious wisdom and knowledge to him. Thanks to his new knowledge, Toby was ready to go back home, but he also knew that the Inca city had to be preserved. He promised the wise old man to keep the secret of the city and to protect its heritage. Back in the forest, Toby recounted his incredible adventure to his family and friends. He had accomplished his dream of finding the legendary lost city of the Incas, but he had not forgotten his promise to the old sage. Thus, Toby spent his days exploring the forest, protecting the fauna and flora, and sharing the stories of the city with all those who were curious. He had found the ultimate treasure in the search for the Inca city: wisdom, love for nature, and the true meaning of adventure. And so, the story of Toby the Tiger, the Inca city explorer, continued to be passed down from generation to generation, inspiring children to explore, to dream, and to preserve the fragile beauty of our world. Conquering the Northern Lights in Antarctica, the epic journey of Nunos and the Minguins. Once upon a time, there was Teddy Bear, an adorable stuffed bear who lived in a small wooden cottage atop a hill. One day, as he gazed at the sparkling stars in the night sky, a brilliant idea crossed his mind. He wanted to go in search of the Northern Lights. But there was a problem. The Northern Lights were usually found near the North Pole, and Teddy Bear lived in the Southern Hemisphere. Nevertheless, Nunes was determined to fulfill his dream and discover the magnificent dances of lights that adorned the polar sky. So he decided to go to Antarctica, as far south as possible. With his backpack filled with supplies, he set off, walking on the icy snow towards the unknown. After several days of walking, Teddy Bear discovered a vast ocean of ice, stretching as far as the eye could see. Majestic icebergs floated like crystal castles, creating a breathtaking landscape. In the distance, he noticed a group of small animals who seemed to be having fun near the frozen sea. They were minguins, a species of miniature penguins with multicolored wings. Intrigued by these strange creatures, Teddy Bear approached them cautiously, but they didn't seem afraid at all. On the contrary, they welcomed Teddy Bear with open arms and introduced him to their leader, Pinguinio, a wise and kind Minguin. Pinguinio explained to Teddy Bear that the Minguins were the guardians of the Northern Lights in Antarctica. Teddy was fascinated by the responsibility of these little animals and their courage to defend the Northern Lights in such a remote place. They offered to accompany him on his journey and show him the way to these dreamy lights. Teddy accepted with gratitude, and they all set off towards the South Pole. After days of walking, crossing crevasses and snowstorms, the group finally arrived at their destination. Before their astonished eyes unfolded an extraordinary and magical spectacle. The Northern Lights illuminated the sky like a mysterious dance of shimmering colors. Teddy Bear and the Minguin stayed there all night, in awe of the beauty of this celestial phenomenon. They danced and sang together, celebrating the friendship and magic that surrounded them. It was a moment of pure bliss for Teddy Bear, who had realized his dream thanks to the precious help of the Minguins. The next morning, Teddy Bear woke up with a start, realizing it was time to go home. He warmly thanked the Minguins for their generosity and promised to come back to see them as soon as he could. The Minguins waved goodbye to Teddy Bear with their little colorful wings as he walked away, his heart filled with unforgettable memories. Teddy Bear returned home with a smile on his lips and his mind filled with the beauty of the Northern Lights. He now knew that dreams could come true and that friendship could accomplish great things. And every evening, before falling asleep, Teddy Bear would remember the magical dance of the Northern Lights, knowing that he had lived an extraordinary adventure thanks to his incredible journey to Antarctica.
The hero of the oasis, Simba, and the quest for the life-saving water. Once upon a time, in the vast savanna of the desert, there was a little lion named Simba. Simba lived with his family in a lion colony consisting of brave males, gentle lionesses, and playful lion cubs. But there was a problem. The oasis, which had been providing them with drinking water for generations, had dried up. The colony was now at risk of dying of thirst if it didn't quickly find a new water source. Simba, being the most curious of the lion cubs, decided to set off in search of a new oasis. He got up early one morning, said goodbye to his family, and began his journey. His heart was pounding in his chest, but he knew he had to be brave and persistent. After walking for hours under the scorching sun, Simba began to despair. He was thirsty, and the vast stretches of sand, as far as the eye could see, seemed never-ending. But just as he was about to give up, he spotted a silhouette in the distance. It was a majestic giraffe standing near a sparkling oasis. Simba quickened his pace and finally arrived at the oasis. He knelt down on the shores and plunged his head into the fresh, crystal-clear water. He drank until his ravenous thirst was quenched, and he finally felt his stomach stop growling. However, when he came to his senses, Simba noticed that the oasis was heavily guarded by wild animals. There were lounging crocodiles in the water, mischievous monkeys jumping from branch to branch, and protective hippopotamuses. Simba understood that he couldn't simply take water for his colony without the permission of its guardians. He then timidly approached the giraffe and sincerely explained the situation of his colony. Touched by his story, the giraffe decided to help him. She then gathered the other guardians of the oasis and explained the situation to them. Together, they decided to put Simba to the test to see if he was truly worthy of taking water from their oasis. The test consisted of proving one's bravery and respect towards the desert animals. Simba had to pass in front of each guardian and show them that he had no intention of causing harm. He managed to impress each one of them using his intelligence and kindness, and ultimately he was accepted into their community. Simba warmly thanked the giraffe and the other guardians for their precious help. They then showed him where to fill his water jug and even gave him advice on how to quickly and safely reach his colony. With a heart filled with hope, Simba started his journey back to his colony, proudly carrying the water jug on his back. As he crossed the savannah, he was already thinking about how happy his family would be with the cool water. Finally, after a long journey, Simba arrived at the colony. The other lions welcomed him with joy and celebrated his triumphant return. Simba generously shared water with each member of his colony, giving them hope and vitality once again. Henceforth, thanks to Simba's courage and perseverance, the colony knew how to reach the oasis and preserve their existence. Every year, for many generations, they remembered this incredible story and celebrated the day when Simba saved them from thirst. And that's how the little lion became a hero, a symbol of strength and dedication for his colony, while reminding them that cooperation and determination are essential to survive in the unforgiving savannah.
Leah the Giraffe, an inspiring adventurer from the savannah to America. Once upon a time, in the African savannah, there was a curious and adventurous little giraffe named Leah. She had always dreamt of exploring beyond the savannah. One fine day, while she was strolling near a fresh water source, she heard a strange voice. Intrigued, she approached and discovered a magical frog. "Hello, Leah. I am Fred the Magical Frog. I have heard about your dreams of adventure, and I am here to offer you a unique opportunity," said Fred. Leah couldn't believe her eyes. She didn't know that a frog could talk, let alone that it was magical. Curious and excited, she asked Fred what he wanted to give her. "I offer you a trip to the United States," replied the frog. Leah was amazed. She had heard about the United States, a distant country where anything was possible. Without hesitation, she accepted Fred's gift. He gave her a magical crystal that, when touched, would transport Leah to her destination. Fred also warned her that she had to be back before sunset, otherwise she wouldn't be able to return to Africa. Leah touched the crystal, and, in the blink of an eye, she found herself in a dense and lush forest. She had just landed in the United States. Fascinated by the beauty of nature, Leah began to explore the surroundings. She encountered squirrels and rabbits, who showed her how to find food and hide from predators. After a few days, Leah decided to go to a big city. She walked through the bustling streets, admiring the skyscrapers and the sparkling lights. She encountered a pigeon who told her that she had to visit the Statue of Liberty in New York, the symbol of freedom and hope. In New York, Leah slipped through the crowd, observing the hurried people and colorful shops. She was amazed by the size of the statue and the meaning it represented. Leah knew she was lucky to be able to experience this incredible opportunity. After spending a few days in New York, Leah decided to go to Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States. She walked through the majestic streets of the city, passing by the White House and the Capitol. She felt like a true explorer discovering an unknown world. Leah continued her journey by visiting other major cities such as Chicago and Los Angeles. She was dazzled by the sparkling lights of skyscrapers and the fine sandy beaches. She even made a detour to Yellowstone National Park, where she was able to observe wolves and bison up close. As her time in the United States was coming to an end, Leah realized that she had lived incredible adventures. She had seen magnificent landscapes, met fascinating animals, and discovered a new culture. But she knew it was time to go back home, to Africa. She touched the magic crystal and, in an instant, she found herself back in her beloved African savannah. She was filled with joy to see her friends and family again. She told everyone about her adventures in the United States and how lucky she had been to experience such a journey. Since that day, Leah has become a legend in the African savannah. The animals of the savannah would come to listen to her tell her stories of adventures in the United States. She had become a source of inspiration for all those who dreamt of exploring the world but didn't believe it was possible. Leah had understood that, regardless of our size or origin, everyone could achieve their dreams if they believed and dared to embark on an adventure. And that's how Leah the giraffe, after visiting the United States, continued to explore the world, helping other animals to believe in their dreams and make them come true.
The brilliant house, the Salutans, and their incredible treasure in the desert. In the distant desert, in the land of Surmarmots, lived a joyful meerkat family. The Surmarmots were renowned for their exceptional talent in digging tunnels. Every day, they spent hours practicing to improve their performances and win digging contests. And they did quite well, believe me. Among them, there was a small meerkat called Stella. At the age of 5, Stella was already an incredible tunnel digger. She used to sneak into the underground galleries and find the narrowest passages. Her adventurous spirit was unmatched among the other members of her family. One day, while she was playing jumping from dune to dune with her brothers and sisters, Stella noticed something strange sticking out of the sand. Curious, she approached to get a closer look, and she saw something that took her breath away. A shining treasure buried under the sand. Stella couldn't believe her incredible luck. She called her entire family, and soon all the meerkats were standing there, lined up in a circle, staring at the treasure that stood before them. Shiny nuggets of all colors, sparkling gemstones, and gleaming jewels filled the tunnel to the brim. The meerkat's burrow transformed into a real treasure house. The meerkats rushed inside, covering every surface of their new home with bursts of light. The children couldn't help but laugh and jump for joy as they had fun making the nuggets shine. The days passed, and the meerkats discovered every corner of their sparkling home. They wondered about the origin of this incredible treasure. Some thought it had been left by lost explorers, while others wondered if it was a gift from nature itself. To find out more, Stella decided to go to the nearest library. She spent hours reading old, dusty books filled with stories about hidden treasures and epic adventures. She learned that the desert was once covered by seas, where many sailing ships could have been wrecked in sandstorms. These shipwrecks might have been the source of the nuggets that had been discovered. Armed with her new knowledge, Stella gathered the whole family and told them about her adventure at the library and the hypotheses she had formulated regarding the origin of the treasure. Everyone was fascinated by this story and promised to do further research to learn more about their dazzling treasure. The Salutans decided to transform their house into a public place where travelers and explorers could visit and learn more about their incredible discovery. They called their new home the Shining House and started organizing guided tours for anyone who wanted to see the sparkling gems with their own eyes. Thanks to their new role as guardians of the brilliant house, the Pixies were acquiring new skills. They were learning to communicate with visitors, to share their story and their love for the desert. The children were growing as seasoned guides, while the adults were conducting thorough research on ancient sea maps, legends of navigators, and stories of desert explorers. In this new life, the Salutans not only found a dazzling treasure, but also a new purpose. They now had the mission to preserve and safeguard the history of their treasure house so that future